Hello, welcome. Today we're going to do these beautiful little crochet baby mittens. You can see what a great stitch this is. It's a single crochet with a yarn under. The small mitten measures about 2 inches by about 3 inches, and the large mitten is about 3 inches by 3.5 inches. You can use any yarn for this project. For the smaller one, I used a little bit of a heavier yarn, and for the bigger one, I used a softer yarn. I definitely liked the softer one better. I will be demonstrating the large mitten today, but also have the instructions for the small. We will be using a 4mm crochet hook. You will also need a pair of scissors and a darning needle. You won't be needing much yarn for this project. It's a great way to use up all your little scraps, but try to pick a yarn that's a little bit softer. I was using a number 4 medium weight yarn, and like I said, pick a soft yarn. If you like my videos, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. So let's get going on these great mittens. This video has been edited for left hand. So we will be doing the single crochet on these mittens. It is a yarn under, which makes this great little X pattern on this, and it's a nice tight weave so little fingers can't get through. So let's start with a magic circle. Create a loop on your finger or on your hand. We will then take our hook, put it under the loop, pull up the yarn, then yarn over, and make a chain. It's that easy. So we're going to start by putting 10 single crochet in the circle. We're going to put the yarn under. Normally you would go over, but we're going to put the hook over and the yarn under. Pull through, yarn over, and then pull through too. So let's do it again. Single crochet, yarn under, pulling up, yarn over, pull through both loops. So let's do 10 single crochet for the large and 8 single crochet for the small. By doing a yarn under, the stitch is a lot tighter and creates that nice tight weave with kind of like putting an X in the stitch rather than a V. We can then pull snug and do a slip stitch to join. So let's put our hook into the first single crochet, right in there. And it doesn't matter which way you pull the yarn through for a slip stitch, and join our circle. We will then do a chain 1 and do 2 single crochet in each stitch, starting in that very first one right in there. 2 single crochet. So 1, going back in the same stitch, and 2. So let's do 2 single crochet in each stitch. And that is stitch number 20. Slip stitch to join. So you're not going to go into the slip stitch from the round below or the chain. You're going to go into the top of the first single crochet. So normally we would go into this stitch here and do a slip stitch. But we're going to do it a little differently this time. By doing it that way, you kind of have a line in here that carries up through the seam. So let's do it a different way. What we're going to do is we're going to go into that slip stitch from the round below. So we're just going to go underneath that one strand of yarn. So under there, and then we're going to go into the top of the first single crochet. And from there, we will do our slip stitch. So just going through all and up. So this way, it just has a little bit of a different seam. From here, we can chain 1. So just to show you what it's going to look like, here is one of the mittens that I have done. This is how the seam will end up. So you can see here, it looks a little bit different. And that's how it'll look. It will have a seam, but it won't be very noticeable because we're going to put it on the side of the mitten. So for the large, we should have 20 stitches, and for the small, 16. Let's carry on. So for the large, we're going to continue on with 20 single crochet in each row, and we're going to continue this for rows 3 to 12. For the small, we will have 16 single crochet in each row, and we're just going to do it for rows 3 to 10. I'm going to show you a couple more times how to do our slip stitch to join. So we're going to go underneath the slip stitch from the round below, and then put our hook in the top of the single crochet. And then slip stitch, pulling through all. Always start the next round with the chain 1, and starting in that very first stitch, continue with 20 single crochet in each round. You can now see it starting to shape to make a tube. Let's do one more join together, going underneath the slip stitch and then into the top of the first single crochet, and finishing this round. I will meet you at the end of round 12 for the large mitten. This is what your work should look like so far, with the seam that goes down the side here. Don't worry about it because we're going to put it at the side of the mitten and you will never notice it. We're going to now start with the chain 3. For the large mitten, this will be round 13, and for the small, this will be round 11. We're then going to put 1 double crochet in each stitch from the round below. So for the large, we will have 20 double crochet, plus the chain 3 that we just did, will be 21 stitches. Continue with your double crochet all the way around. The chain 3 at the beginning will count as your first stitch, and then you will have 20 double crochet, which will give you 21 in total. I will meet you back around at the beginning. So this is our last double crochet, and then we're going to slip stitch to join in the top of that chain 3. We can then chain 1 and start in that very first stitch, which is the top of the chain 3 with our single crochet, and we're going to put 1 single crochet in each stitch. For the large, you should have 21 stitches, and for the small, you should have 17 stitches. Slip stitch to join in the top of the first single crochet. For our next round, we're going to start with the chain 1. This will be an increase round. We're going to start with 1 single crochet in the first stitch and then 2 single crochet in the next. And we're going to repeat this. So here's 2. And now let's repeat. 1 single crochet and now 2 single crochet. Continue this all the way around. For the large mitten, you should have 31 stitches, and for the small mitten, you should have 25. I'll meet you back here at the end. So we will finish the round with 1 single crochet. We will then slip stitch to join in the top of the first single crochet. We can then chain 1, and for row 16, we're going to put 1 single crochet in each stitch. For the small mitten, this should be row 14, and again 1 single crochet in each stitch. Finish this round with a slip stitch. Do not chain. For our final round, we're going to finish with 1 full round all of slip stitch. It will look like this. It gives it a really nice finish at the top of the mitten. From here, we're just going to start in the next stitch. So insert your hook, pull through, and slip stitch. We will do this into each stitch. In and pull through. In and pull through. We'll see you back around at the beginning. And now we can go just into that last stitch, do a slip stitch, and from here we can cut our yarn. Let's cut our yarn, pull through, and then we can weave in the ends as well. I will show you how to make this an invisible close. Let's insert our hook underneath one of the slip stitches from the beginning of the round. We will then put it back into the one that we just came from. So that one here where we just came from, we're going to go right into that part. So back into the V, and now you can see how it's all consistently the same, and you cannot tell where we have joined. We can then tie in our ends in the inside of the mitten. Be sure to weave these in really well because we don't want any little fingers getting caught on anything. And let's not forget our beginning yarn with the magic circle. For our tie, we can use a contrasting yarn, and we're going to start with just a slip knot. We're going to chain about 50 to 60 stitches, or 11 to 13 inches, 28 to 33 centimeters. We can cut our yarn, pull through, and just tighten up each end. So if you pull really tight to make a knot. We can now weave this into our mitten. Find the center front, so put the seam here on the side. We can start by going under one and then over two. We can now tie a bow and clip our ends. The other thing we can do with our mitten is we can secure this tie to the mitten so it never slips out. So turn your mitten inside out, and let's just take a small piece of yarn and let's attach it right to the mitten, and that way it is really secure. So just take a small piece of yarn, and I usually just divide it into two, just so it's more like a thread. And then finding the center back of the mitten, we will just stitch this into place. You can just make a knot here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video as much as I've enjoyed making it. We'll see you on the next one. Bye!